Howdy, folks. I'm a scheming mad scientist, sincerely surveying scary specimens like this one. One release of this little tiny thing, it will wipe out the entire Earth population. That's why it's scary.
Right.
Let's get started with releasing it.
No. Although I don't know how much damage a little bit of hot glue with eyes can do to the world.
Did you replace my specimen with hot glue? Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Sister That I Hooked Up with Her Fiance and Ruining Her Engagement even though she took him back? I'm a 19-year-old female and I come from a super religious family where everyone marries fast through matchmakers. I'm the black sheep of the family because I left the region and started dating casually. My sister Marie, 25-year-old female, is the family favorite. Smart, outgoing, but she struggled to find a husband. After a string of failed matches, she finally got engaged last month to Christopher, a 30-year-old male. Everyone was relieved because she had been trying for so long. I was happy for her until I met her fiance. Christopher and I hooked up last year. For some context, the age gap between us isn't an issue, so please don't bring it up. We met at a party, and despite being religious, he's divorced and didn't seem concerned about staying pure. We hooked up 5 times. He was my first everything, kiss, hookup, all of it. After the 5th time, he said that he was falling for me, but I wasn't looking for anything serious, so I ended things before it got too complicated. Especially because I knew that he wanted to eventually get remarried, and I was not the right girl for that. We hadn't seen each other since, until Marie brought him home as her fiance. The second we locked eyes, I knew that we both were thinking, oh no. Later that night, Christopher pulled me aside, begging me not to tell Marie. He said that it meant nothing, it was in the past, and telling her would ruin her happiness. He texted and called me for a week, saying how much Marie and him had been through, and how I would destroy her life if I told her. I kept my mouth shut at first, but I didn't want to hurt her. But the guilt was eating me alive, like I was watching her walk into a disaster. I felt like she deserved to know, so I told her. At first, Marie didn't believe me. She said that I was trying to sabotage her happiness because I couldn't stand being single. I had to show her the text and photos to prove it. When she finally accepted the truth, she lost it. She confronted Christopher, and he denied everything until she shoved the evidence into his face. Marie called off the engagement. That's when things really hit the fan. My parents and some relatives told me that I should have just kept quiet. They said that I ruined Marie's one last shot at happiness and called me selfish for interfering. Now I'm not even invited to the wedding. Yep, they got back together, but I'll get to that later. It gets worse. While Marie and Christopher were dating, he randomly called me saying that he wanted to reconnect. He was rather vague, but it was obviously a booty call. I didn't know that he was dating at the same time, and definitely didn't know that he was dating my sister. I let him down firmly and didn't engage because I had no interest. After telling Marie about our hookup, I mentioned this call because I thought that she should know that he wasn't as faithful while they were dating as she thought that he was, but that backfired spectacularly. Marie accused me of making up lies and tearing them apart. Christopher denied everything and said that I was obsessed with him. Marie sided with him and called me a quote-unquote desperate, home-wrecking, promiscuous person. Since I deleted my call history, I had no proof. It became a he said, she said situation, and Marie believed him. Now Marie and Christopher are back together and they're getting married. She showed up at my apartment a few weeks after the fight, crying. Apparently Christopher had convinced her that what happened between us wasn't just a meaningless mistake, and that it had made him realize how much he wanted to be with her. I tried to explain that he had told me that he was falling for me, not to make it seem like he still liked me, just to show her that he was lying to her about what he felt for me, but she just got angrier and called me a jealous liar and some other pretty names that I won't repeat before storming out. Now I'm completely cut off from family events. My parents say that I've caused enough damage, and extended family members are calling me some pretty terrible things, both behind my back and to my face. Every attempt I've made to explain myself has been shut down. So yeah, they're getting married anyways, and here I am wondering if I just blew up an engagement for nothing. Should I have just stayed quiet? Did I do the right thing, or did I just ruin my relationship with my family for no reason? All right, folks, what do you think?
I think OP definitely did the right thing here. It's unfortunate that the family is so into this idea of immediate marriage that they're willing to overlook his sordid past. Like, he's the one who's proved he's lying again and again. Like, I know OP doesn't have the proof anymore that he was trying to get with her while he was with the sister, but like, if I had just found out that my partner was lying to me and then someone is like, oh yeah, they also did this thing, like, I'm gonna at least approach it with a little more skepticism and not just be like, oh yeah, no, totally. Like, I just buy everything he says, hook, line, and sinker. So it seems like Obi had her sister's best interests at heart. And it's unfortunate that the family is not supporting her in the way she needs.
Well, I mean, I think this one's a little bit complicated. So first off, I think if OP knew about the booty call, for instance, during the relationship, right? I mean, that should have been a point of evidence that he may not be a faithful individual while they were dating, right? If they're dating exclusively, he shouldn't be going out and trying to get booty calls. That right there, I think, is shows an intent for infidelity. And if he's having intents for infidelity now, then what's it going to be like later on in their relationship? Now, as for whether or not he slept with people in between when they were dating, right? I don't know if that's a whole lot of her business unless he's presented himself as someone who does it, right?
Well, but I think letting her know that she had been with him was important because if she found that out later on down the line,
Yeah.
then that would cause like upset and chaos. Like, I feel like in those sort of situations, it's best to be open and honest to prevent further upset because it's going to feel a lot more shady. Like, if you find out years down the line that, oh, yeah, by the way, your partner had been sleeping with your sibling. Yeah, it was before you knew them, but they've kept this from you all this time. That's going to raise a lot of questions.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it would raise a lot of questions. And this is going to be someone who they see all the time, Christmas, holidays, and everything like that, right? Now, I think that it's a difficult situation, and I think that OP used the best judgment that they could in this time at the time. I don't think they did anything out of malice. If they had done this purposely to like mess up their sister's life, that would be a little bit of a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing as how they did this just because they were looking out for their sister tells me that they weren't they were, doing this in her best interest and trying to make sure she was well informed before going ahead with the marriage and the wedding. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Present Marzipan 132 says, I amend my previous reply. He is a scumbag for wanting to hook up with you while seeing your sister. If the only issue was spilling the beans about your previous dating, I wouldn't bother telling. His wanting to hook up with you while he's in a committed relationship with your sister, however, shows that he is a creep. And OP replies, yeah, if he hadn't called me while they were dating, I probably would have been less concerned, but this shows that he's unloyal. And Miss Happy Ever After says, Christopher is a walking red flag. Marie is in for a lifetime of unhappiness for the duration of marriage. Marie will be wondering if he's really going where he says he is going. Is he cheating? Their marriage is doomed before vows are exchanged. OP, you are not the jerk. And OP replies, thank you. I'm sad that I won't be at the wedding because Marie and I have talked about her getting married for years now. But at least I won't be there to watch her flush her life down the drain. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, I am tired of my ex-husband's wife wanting to be my friend just because he cheated on both of us. I don't understand why I'm in this situation, and honestly I'm frustrated because even my own family tells me that I'm the bad one here. I just need a vent, and I don't need any advice or someone telling me, do this, I think that you should tell her this. Or I would write her this or this. More than 17 years ago, my ex-husband cheated on me with a woman that I didn't know, but she knew me. He left me for her. Our only daughter was a baby, and I had just moved on with my life. I'm never going to fight for a man who makes immature decisions without first thinking about the consequences. He married that woman. I went on with my life, preferring to have a healthy co-parenting for my daughter. He never showed remorse, and he had even told me that ours was always a mistake and that that woman was the love of his life. That helped me to realize that he's a total jerk, and I don't need a man like that in my life. Now he's cheated on her, and for some reason, this woman who always had a really cold and distant relationship with me is insisting on trying to talk with me every day. I found out about the infidelity from my daughter who wasn't affected by that, so I didn't think too much about it. The only thing that worried me was to know if he was going to be able to continue to have our daughter at his house on weekends as always. But his wife started sending me messages explaining what was happening when I never asked her, and in the past I only spoke to her if her husband didn't answer my texts to ask something about my daughter. It's obvious that she needs to talk about it. It doesn't matter if I always answer dryly because she sends me long audios talking about it anyways. I mean, I understand that she needs to talk about her husband's infidelity and blah blah blah, but why me? I don't want to be rude, but I don't care how she feels. And in one of her audios, she says, "You know how I feel now." Like, I guess, but that was 17 years ago. It's not the same. And if I'm being 100% honest, I can't compare myself to her at all. A woman who has just given birth, to whom her husband tells her that he has been cheating on her for a long time with another woman, to who is not boring in bed and does know how to value him, versus a woman who always knew that her husband was unfaithful and decided to marry him anyways. Anyways, I've tried to ignore her as much as I can, but even when I talk to my friends and family about this, almost all of them say things like, "Oh, but she must feel lonely. But she wasn't to blame for being the other one. I think that you should have been more empathetic. We all need someone to talk to." Or my favorite one, "She's not to blame for him being a cheater. You should understand because she needs help. I understand that she's not to blame and he's the cheater, but she, a totally adult woman at the time, decided to marry a man that she knew was sleeping with her while his wife was pregnant. So why should I now carry the weight of helping her when she never helped me by telling me, 'Hey, your husband slept with me, and that's really terrible because he's married with you.' Or, that's what I would do if a married man flirted with me." Now, if she didn't do any of that, then why is it my duty as a feminist to force myself to be her friend? It doesn't make sense, and the worst thing is that almost all of the women around me tell me that I should help her and be her ear when I don't want or feel any empathy for her or him. I think that she and he knew very well what they were getting into. I don't understand why I should be her free therapist now. Being cheated on is not my whole personality. I don't need to talk about this 24/7 with her. I just chose to ignore her, and that's what I'm going to continue to do because I don't care how she feels, and even if I'm the bad feminist for not feeling empathy. Sorry, my first language is Spanish, and I wrote everything pretty annoyed. Edit, no, I can't block her because she's still living with him, and I need to have her contact just in case of an emergency for my daughter. All right, folks, what do you think?
Definitely not the jerk and not a bad feminist. Like, being a feminist doesn't mean you have to be buddy-buddy with every woman who walks the earth. You
Yeah.
know, it's about promoting gender equality. You are still allowed to be upset with people who wrong you, regardless of their gender.
Yeah.
And all these people who are like, "Oh, well, she needs someone to support her." Good. They can step up and do that. If they really feel so bad for her, they can be her shoulder to cry on. You have been through enough. And, like, yeah, she didn't cause the husband to cheat, but she was an active participant in it. They both are responsible for the dissolution of your marriage.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I could forgive her if she found out after the fact and then dumped him, right?
Right, and immediately told OP.
And told OP, exactly. And that would make things a little bit better in my mind, but like OP said, that she dated this person knowing that he was married, or married at the time. And now she's surprised that a cheater has gone and cheated again. And I mean, that's kind of the classic trope right there, right? But I mean, a lot of times people don't think that it's a real threat. They're like, they don't process that they think that they're special, that
Mm-hmm.
this isn't going to happen to them. And it's unfortunate when these people let them down, right? So, as for OP being a good or bad feminist, I would argue that she isn't a bad feminist. I think that this would be the opposite of being a bad feminist. If you were, as a woman, forced to befriend every single woman despite, differences with them, then that's not feminism. That's just, being an overly friendly person with no boundaries, right?
Yeah, and you need to protect your own personal boundaries and space at the same time. Like, It's more about promoting general equality. There are people who are bad agents of all genders.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who maybe they're not bad people in total, but are bad people for you. And you shouldn't have to maintain relationships with them just because you share a gender.
Mm-hmm. So in the end, I don't think that, again, like you said, this is not OP's all responsibility. And if OP had one thing that they could do, I know they don't want advice, but if they had one thing that they could do, I would totally just forward her number to a bunch of people and be like, she's looking for someone to talk to. Have at it. And then make
Yeah,
it someone else's problem.
exactly.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And traditional name 7881 says, I'm impressed that English is your second language and you make less mistakes than people who have it as a first language. I would continue to ignore her. You don't owe her anything. And OP replies, thanks. Although I usually correct with a translator. Haha. I mean, translators are there for a reason, right? They're tools that we can all use, so. And Wild Black Hat says, personally, I just find your family really weird. Just from the title, the situation seems so absurd that it would make me laugh. You don't owe her anything. Tell her to find a therapist because you don't care. And OP replies, my mother was someone's lover, so she has the mentality of, you can't judge the lives of others. It wasn't her fault to fall in love. So that's the kind of way that she and my siblings think. Well, and I mean, certainly, like, I think there's room for forgiveness and stuff like that. But your mom, despite her difference in view, maybe didn't make the best decision, right? So it's better to wait for someone to not be in a relationship before going into a relationship with them
Hmm.
if they are married or with someone else, right? If,
Well,
oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, well, and that makes her the perfect person for this to be a shoulder to cry on for this woman.
Yeah, I mean, maybe forwarding her number to OP's mom would be the best call here. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
My parents screamed when they saw my report card. There was a bee on it.
Oh, not a bee.
Bzzz.
And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, spectacular, scientific Saturday, folks. We're well on our way to Halloween. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it as though you're a mad scientist.
Perhaps we need to unleash the specimens on the husband-to-be of Marie in story one.
I'm afraid that the IRB won't approve that.
But I thought you said we were mad scientists.
We are, but we're still bound by ethical constraints. I know. Being a mad scientist these days is not as fun as it used to be, let me tell you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.